Today is Wednesday, September 22nd, 2021. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is our recap of Survivor 41, Week 1.
It's back. It's back. It's finally back. Yay.
And this episode was called A New Era.
Yep. Probst gave us that. And he told us that he missed us. I believed him. Did you believe him?
Of course.
Mm-hmm. He's sporting a mighty fine mullet when he said it, so it must be true.
How do you get mullet out of that? Didn't look like a mullet to me.
Well, that's what he said in one of his, just before we started interviews. He, like many of us, he did not get a haircut, and that's why he had that mullet.
Well, definitely he had a lot of curls, but I don't know about mullet.
That was his words.
Okay,
not mine.
I did not read that.
He tells us he's going to invite us inside and that there's a beware advantage that's hidden at every tribe's camp.
I kind of like that.
There's going to be penalties for losing this time. The stakes are high.
I don't know how I like that yet, but it's like, whoa, that intensifies things considerably.
It is a compounding effect for
it's
sure.
Like, insult to injury.
Kick them while they're down. And then he mentions the game within a game for the Rebus puzzles and the website for that, Survivor GWG. See what they did? They're so clever. Game within a game, GWG. And we get to see shots of the crew. Usually
that's new.
That was for sure new.
I like that.
Yeah, it was neat seeing the...
And all the boats that were out there, you know, when they were...
the fleet.
Getting ready to bring them in.
Yeah.
I mean, we knew that's been there. We've heard about it. We've seen little things.
Yeah, there's been great articles that Dalton Ross did before. Yeah, they never actually showed it in an episode, or it was always behind the scenes or a deep dive, long length article there.
Well, and you and I had questioned just from what few photographs that we saw. It's like, wait a minute, they're on a speedboat, all of them, and then they're on
diving off a boat,
diving off of a ship or something,
boat, yeah.
And then they're paddling, and we're like,
how is that going to work?
Why?
Yeah.
So I had said that they could be bringing them into the boat, which turned out to be a barge, but okay, close enough.
Evvie says she's ready and excited, and Danny tells us that he was binging Survivor during the quarantine, and Tiffany talks about how she was an alternate and so thrilled to make it onto the cast. And David, who's going to go by his last name, Voce, I think that's what it was.
I missed that.
It says that he's beyond ready. He's just not ready. He's beyond ready.
David's going by Voce?
Yeah.
No.
That's the tag that's on there. Voce, his last name. Well, just like the curveball we get with Eric.
I know, with Abraham.
Yeah, giving us his last name.
What? Where did that come from?
We already learned your names. We did this in the preseason.
So.
Don't change it. Yes, that's how we view it.
It's still going to be Eric and David for me.
Yeah. And we get that clip with Sean telling us that she's the mafia pastor. She's ready to cut throats. And JD talks about how Survivor's been a constant in his life. Been there the whole time. And Sarah talks a little bit about how rough 2020 was and significance there. And we get several other folks, Erika and Xander, and who else? Deshawn. They all get to say a little bit before we load up onto the barge there.
Let's get to the barge.
Okay. You're waiting for that part. Is that where your notes pick up?
That's where I started.
Okay. Yeah.
I was like, yeah, this stuff.
Do you know why?
I saw in the their little video.
It's because you were eating a snack right when we started.
I wasn't eating a snack. I was eating my lunch.
Okay, whatever it was.
Dinner, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, it's important to get that part right. But that's why you didn't have any notes on the first part.
Soup. So.
Okay, so yeah, we find out Eric's going to go by Abraham, and when Probst asks him to rate his excitement, he says it's a 10, ecstatic, and then Erika says, well, it's 1,000,000 for her because she was supposed to be out here last year.
Ah.
So she was, I guess, one of the ones that was originally cast to be here.
Well, at least they kept her.
And Naseer gets to talk about how he learned English watching Survivor.
And Jeff tells us about the Beware Advantage and, that they're not going, well, not on the barge, but this is one of the things he talked about was that they weren't going to have rice and any place to hide. That it's going to be a very different game this time from what it was before.
Yeah.
But anyway, he didn't say that on the barge, so I'll go back to the barge.
On the barge, Heather's saying that it's been, she started watching 20 years ago, and it's been a routine and then become a habit of life. Started with her boyfriend who became her husband, and then they included the kids that they had together in watching it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and what about Tiffany? She was told she was on, then she told she wasn't, and then 24 hours before? I wonder why they waited so late if somebody pulled out.
That's how it is when you're an alternate.
Yeah, but...
We've heard that story before, that it was a 24-hour notice to get on. But
usually something happened. Somebody didn't pass medical or something like that the alternate got put in. But we hadn't heard anything.
No, we didn't, but that's obviously... Something like that happened. So that she transitioned from being an alternate to being a castaway.
Well, I'm sure it made her very, very happy.
Probst wants to quiz them if they're okay with, okay, guys, come on in. And we find out first they're good with that, and then later we'll revisit this decision.
Okay, he tells them they're going to have a shorter season, and they're going to have very meager supplies.
One pot, one flint, one machete. Yep, no rice.
So he tells them the challenge, which they have to find 6 paddles on the raft that match the color.
That's when he
of
gave
their
him
tribe.
gave him the title when he was summarizing that first part where he said it's a new era. Yep. And then on to grabbing the paddles that they need for their first challenge.
Luvu got out first, and they unclipped their boat and they started paddling. And then Green was having trouble, and I heard Jeff say, you got to unclip it from the front and the back. So I thought, oh, well, Luvu, they didn't have to be told that, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, the Green tribe starts passing them. It's like, and they kept going, we're not going anywhere, we're not going anywhere.
Plus, they were sitting really low in the water. The two things I noticed, they were sitting low in the water, and that Sydney was not actually paddling. Because I always look to see.
She did get up and move to the back.
Well, they switched to get some stronger paddlers in the front. But, yeah.
So she was paddling at one point. But the thing is I completely ignored them saying that they weren't going anywhere and just thought, oh, they don't know how to guide the boat, and they're having steer it, whatever. And that's what was going on until they let it be known that they had not unclipped the back one. I thought, oh my gosh, egg on your face.
Ua did fantastic, and Yase, according to Probst, was an embarrassment.
I was not even going to mention.
The most embarrassing tribe efforts in the history of Survivor.
Oh, please. I don't know about that, but...
So the reward for that was that they got their flint, their pot, and the machete, and the other 2 tribes didn't.
The Green tribe did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The Yellow tribe was the embarrassment, but... anyway... They win, they get it, off to camp they go.
And we learned from a quick one-on-one with Sarah that her grandmother had passed away. And that was who she had watched Survivor with, so this was all really emotional.
Oh, that would be so hard.
Mm-hmm. But they get right to work. Brad's chopping bamboo like a madman.
Well, Genie was the one that got right on it and started saying, hey, we need to start collecting materials for the shelter, blah, blah, blah. And then Brad jumped in. And then Brad tells us his dad died 1 week before he came out there. I went, how do you even go? I don't even know how you go.
Well, he said that was one of the things his dad wanted him to do.
Oh, well,
so
then I guess maybe
that
I
helped him
could,
find the energy
yeah.
to do it. Yeah.
that would be so tough there.
Sarah started to get a fire going, but she couldn't quite make it, and so she handed off to JD, and he tells us he spent his time practicing. Fire represents life, and so
During COVID, yeah.
he's gonna, he got some practice in during the quarantine.
But you notice how he didn't really win any points for that a whole lot?
Check the box. I don't know. They were pretty ecstatic about it.
Yeah, but then they started ragging on him and behind his back saying they didn't like him that much. But
I think that
anyway.
came a little later, but yeah. In the beginning, that was a celebration for the fire.
And then the Yellow Tribe, they're like, man, that was terrible.
Liana admits we look like idiots.
But she said the only way to go from here is up.
Yep. So what did you think about their choice there? The savvy choice or the sweat choice?
I think if they weren't confident that they could do the savvy choice, they were very wise in doing the physical challenge.
Mm-hmm.
So, because they're both difficult, but if they don't think they have what it takes to do the other one, then yeah, for sure. At least they can do the physical challenge. And only 2 of them had to do it, so.
Yeah, I
The
think
rest
that
of
was the most
people-
appealing thing, which
Yeah.
is the less
like,
physically fit people
yeah, you guys
immediately
do that.
took 2 steps back.
And we'll go to camp and get things going.
So quite the
and
demonstration occurred right there with David. We're gonna go ahead and say Voce, right?
No, I'm
he's gonna
saying
be
David.
he's the mastermind. That's how he wants to be presented. He wants to be a villain. He's got things all figured out. 6 ways to Sunday.
He
and
whined the whole time.
Tiffany completely bamboozled him into being there with Xander
Yeah.
to do the physical challenge to fill the 2 50-gallon barrels with the pots so that they could get their flint and machete and pot. She just really worked a number on him.
But why couldn't he just say no instead of really
Well,
whining?
he told you. He was afraid of how that would look. He
Well-
wasn't prepared with an answer. He didn't have a
Well,
retort.
I guess he's not worried about how he looked to us, with all the... But anyway, I guess she did get him right off the bat there.
Yeah, she did. She corralled both of them into that.
He agreed, but he was angry about it. And that it was isolating him from the game and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, all that was true, but that's why they chose only 2 people to do that challenge. That's exactly what it does to a tribe.
Yeah, it splits them up and
Starts
isolates.
right
Yep.
in.
Luvu didn't have as many hard feelings or anything
No.
like that. Danny was all about, let's just get the work done. And him and Deshawn teamed up to
Yeah.
fill the barrels.
They were big, strong guys, and
Except they're coming back on their, what we think was their first trip from what we saw, with their 2 pots filled up with water, and they're using bamboo to carry them between them so they can share the load, and the bamboo breaks and dumps their water out. Boom.
bummer.
Yeah, not a good start.
Well, then they show us Genie and Shantel are doing some weaving. So looked like they were making some nice mats.
And one of the things they're doing is they're including background, like it's The Voice or American Idol. They're taking home videos and pictures and some story from the past to help introduce each one of them, not just what they say and do on the show.
Well, and Genie shares that she came out to her mom and how supportive her mom was and
Of
how
her
much that-
marriage. Yep.
Yeah, and how much that meant to her
To be
to have
supported
her
and
mom's support.
accepted. Yeah, that was a great story.
Yeah,
And Ricard tells us about
his marriage and
how he
that
hadn't planned on it. But,
he has a 22-month-old daughter he left at home.
Yep.
Goodness.
And then
Yeah.
another baby on the way.
On the way, yes, and we had learned from his bio that the baby's due to be born the week he gets back from Survivor. So it's like that's cutting it pretty close.
Yeah.
Though I did see a picture online of him with a little baby. So
Yeah. It's just every further day you get into the game, the more that's going to be weighing on you.
Okay, then Danny and Deshawn, they seem to make an alliance, and then they start looking for the idols.
But they get busted. Who saw them?
Naseer, of course.
Naseer saw them.
But who caught flack for that? Naseer ended up catching more flack for that, going back and tattling. So
Not at the time. I think it was more how he managed it, which we thought might be a challenge for him.
And who does he go to but Sydney, which was a bad choice, come to find out.
But there was a group of them there.
Yeah, Sydney, Erika, and Ricard,
Yeah.
the others
Yeah, the
that weren't
the remaining four.
down doing the challenge.
Yeah.
So, but he wanted to make an alliance of four
Here
right
we go.
now.
Yeah, here's the final four.
And that could have worked, except they didn't seem to like him that much.
That seems the way they're presenting that's all on Sydney. She's the one who sort of made the choice, and it's to her advantage. It gives her choices to have them to see the split and then to be able to manage it.
Okay, my thought is, if Naseer's off, those guys are busting their buns down there. And if he's off spying around and coming back and tattling, then he's not doing work back at the camp. So who are you going to
As
want
long
to
as-
hang on to? The two stronger guys that are working hard?
Well, he was in progress. He was supposedly out gathering firewood, but when he saw them, he came back and told them, "Hey, we can't trust these guys. They're hunting for an idol, and they may not get the challenge done." That's how it would have really pivoted. If they didn't get the challenge done, then I think it goes really bad for
Yeah,
them, and
I do
Naseer's
too.
in a good place.
But I never for a second thought they wouldn't get it done. Anyway, we flip over, and David's talking about how his muscles are cramping up from being out in the sun, and he and Xander looked a lot more worse for wear than Danny and Deshawn did.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were really both sweating a lot, so I don't know if their beach gets more sunshine or something where they were or what.
Yeah, it was definitely doing a number on him, and he was wondering if they were staying hydrated enough. So.
Yeah, maybe they were pushing too fast
Yep.
or something. Maybe they should have stopped and looked for a few items. So,
Evvie was talking to Liana after we see them there, talking about cramping up and having a hard time, and she's worried that they're going to bond doing that work. So that was interesting. Instead of worrying about the majority bonding, she's worried about the implications it'll have for
two
David
young,
and Xander.
strong guys bonding.
Or Voce and Xander.
That's legitimate. Then Liana goes and tells Tiffany that Eric was trying to throw her under the bus for letting the paddle drift away.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he was intentionally doing that to point the finger at somebody to keep it off of him, but what he ended up doing was turning it back on himself.
Yeah, you always got to be careful when you call a shot. And the editors gave us the visual of a snake crawling along a tree there in the jungle while he was talking about all that. So it did not bode well for him. And Tiffany tells her story about being a provider and how the choices, the really tough choices that she made had saved her life, and how she wanted to be a survivor in addition to that too.
I admire that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, JD and Sarah, or JD's trying to bond with Sarah by saying, hey, we're the youngest.
This ends up being about JD trying to set up a bond with everybody. He's working it fast and loose.
And everybody's watching.
Well, Ricard definitely is. He's definitely watching him.
Well, even Sarah, she came up later and said, nah, she didn't trust him. But I was impressed, and I have to say this about Brad. He got coconut juice. That must have been awesome.
Yeah, and they worked out a straw.
Yeah, and
He
he
had
knew
an
how to
idea
use
for
it
a
and
straw.
open it and not
Yeah.
lose all the juice
Yeah.
before they could drink it.
Yeah, I guess I was a little surprised when you saw Shan and Sarah and Ricard talking, and Sarah blurts out that JD's rubbing her the wrong way, because they had just shown us
Yeah.
it looked like they were
Yeah.
getting along and relating really well.
Well, that's why I said, obviously she wasn't.
Sean tells us about her powers as an active listener and how that's working to her advantage.
Well, I like what Shantel did, by befriending JD and saying, hey,
Mm-hmm.
if my name comes up, you tell me, and I'll do the same for you, and, buddy, buddy.
What'd you think about her soundtrack for Evil?
What do you mean, soundtrack for Evil?
She said when she's doing things like that, working people,
yeah,
she's got a
yeah.
little soundtrack going through her
Playing
head.
in her head.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that was her soundtrack for Evil, but okay. I get what you're saying now. Yeah,
I think those were her words. They're not
that's
mine.
pretty cool, Who doesn't do a little blah, 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 blah. When some people, if it's, if it goes on and on and on, I think people tend to do that.
Okay. I think you're doing a yada, yada, yada. She's talking about she's got a soundtrack she plays when she's up to no good.
Alrighty. Okay, David and Xander finally finished.
Yeah, we're getting some fast cuts back between Danny and Deshawn, picking
Yep.
up the pace. And
Everybody finishes.
Xander and Voce doing the same thing, and they finish up so that they get their
And
items.
Sydney immediately tells Deshawn what Naseer said about the idol hunting.
This is what I mean. They achieved success, so
Yep.
she didn't need to work the other angle there.
That's right. And then Sydney kept chasing Crab everywhere, so she was trying to get him some food.
Yeah.
Then somebody comes in on a boat. Even I was like, what? What are they coming in for? So I'm sure they did, because I was like, really? That's just, it has happened before, but it's unusual.
Yep.
And nobody wanted to go from the Blue Tribe. That I didn't expect that. Danny agreed to go, but
Actually, he volunteered.
he did volunteer because nobody else would. But it didn't appear that anybody really wanted to
And he
go.
said he wanted the survivor experience. So
Yeah.
that's another way to look at it.
Well, okay, he got it.
And over at Yase, Tiffany volunteers Xander
Volunteered
again.
Xander.
Yep.
So, good job, Tiffany. You volunteered these boys and they jumped right up. So, okay.
I think it can backfire.
Yes, it can.
And I think it will backfire. And actually,
Probably.
I had predicted that it would backfire in this very episode on her.
Oh, did you have her going home?
Mm-hmm. I absolutely did.
Oops. Okay, and the green team decides to draw rocks.
How about that? That was cool.
JD pulled the white one right off.
Yep.
It's like, well, okay.
He's a little worried about separation, but excited about the adventure.
Yep. Okay, so the three guys come in on all the different boats. And
What'd you think about that? About how this all played out?
what do you mean specifically?
About how this early on day 2, that the 3 different representatives from each of the tribes are brought together and told to introduce themselves and get to know each other.
Yeah, I was actually surprised that something like that happened this early, but like Jeff had told us, things are going to happen quickly because it's a shortened number of days. So they're going to get things done and into it.
I liked how it was thought out, that there was a big physical component to it in that hike up to the top of the summit, and then that there's a strategic decision that has to be made. And I like how Danny was trying to get him to think it out ahead of time. That was a really good sign for him. I don't think Xander and JD were completely dialed in to what he was doing, or maybe they just didn't show it.
Well, JD was so shocked that the trek had gassed him as much as it did. He said, he's an athlete, and he just felt
was.
trashed.
Was, yeah.
Well, still, he's young, he's fit, he's 21. He shouldn't, really have much problem going up there.
It gave each of them an opportunity to talk about themselves a little bit, and you could see how Danny was downplaying it. He said he played college ball, which was probably, all he said was probably true in that regard, but he didn't mention the NFL at all, even though I think it was JD
No,
had
he
said.
did mention the NFL, that he played early on, but
No, he
then
didn't.
he left.
No, I don't think it.
He did too, walking up the hill.
We'll go back and watch.
Okay, we will. And you will see that I am right.
JD said we were thinking you were in the NFL, or Xander. I'm not sure exactly
And he
who
said
said it.
something like, well, for
Nope.
a little while. But
No,
then-
he coached some football
Yeah, I
and
don't
that he
think
played
so.
in college.
That's not what I heard. so-
Okay.
Okay, we'll go back and we'll let you know during the show on Saturday.
Well, I'm sure they'll know ahead of that.
Well, they will, but
Okay, so they've got to separate
don't.
and make a decision. What did you think about this? Risk a vote or protect a vote? They hit them with the prisoner's dilemma, a classic choice right out of the gate. So if they can cooperate, they do this, but if they go against each other, there's a chance for greater reward
I got confused because two of them
with how it was going to play out.
didn't.
They didn't show us.
They didn't do it. They said so, but two of them got the extra vote. But we don't know whether Danny did or not because he hadn't been to trouble yet. But I don't think he would since we know
They showed
he
us
didn't.
what Danny's choice was. It was
I
on
know.
the screen.
I know that.
Okay, so he,
But I
he
didn't
can't get
understand
anything.
that if I thought one of them said that if two people went for the same thing and didn't preserve their vote, then they didn't get it. I don't know. I got that confused.
Okay, I guess I see what you're saying, but we know what the outcome is.
Yes,
Even though
we
they
do.
don't show it right here for Xander and
Yeah,
JD. And
I thought it was confusing.
We'll get to that in a minute.
And because I don't know
Danny-
how much truth they told or not.
Well, yeah, it turns out one of them,
Mm-hmm.
two of them rather, Danny and Xander, when they get back, because they're all expected to tell the story, Danny
Yeah.
and Xander both say what their choices were. Absolutely.
Yeah, Danny flat out
In a lot of detail.
told the truth, though. We know.
So did Xander.
And they believed him. Well, I thought, yeah, Xander did. But JD lied, didn't he?
Yeah, it turns out he did.
I believed him. That's why I got confused, is I totally believed him. And I went, wait a minute, how did he get?
What I tell you what surprised me, I like how Danny managed his. I thought he totally took care of his business and he was completely believable.
Yep.
And then Xander took the same thing, but he chose to spin it as I did this for us. When in
Yeah.
reality, the extra vote only goes to the one person, and that's Xander.
Yeah, but he'll use it for our team. We'll use it for us.
Except there's
But that'll
a
come
chance
back
that you're
later.
going to face that vote that he's got. Exactly.
And if there's a split and everybody knows he has it, and
Or he could play it at the very first tribal council he goes to.
absolutely.
But
Well,
because
no,
he spun
not
it,
the first one, because
sure.
he was already at the first one when he got it.
But
But
he
he
was in
didn't
the
play
voting
it.
booth when he got it. He could have used it right
yeah,
then.
he could have, but he didn't.
Yeah, but because he spun it as for the team, and then we cut over to Ua, and JD appears to be. He asks him to, he offers up his bag. Go ahead, search my bag. I'm not hiding
but
anything.
why did he say, I led the trick? I led the way.
That I don't know how much of it was the edit or how much of it was him speaking very poorly and being a very bad storyteller. Because, part of the bios and the stuff that we had read about him was his experience with Toastmasters and how good he was with public speaking.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody seemed to be believing what he was saying because he was doing such a poor delivery of what happened.
Yeah, Ricardo flat out said he's lying. We need to get rid of him. But
Ricard, yeah.
Ricard. He already wanted to get rid of him anyway.
he
so
did.
I'm sure that played into it somewhat. Okay, anything else about that before we go to the immunity challenge?
Community challenge.
Okay, and this is where Ricard speaks up and tells Jeff that he's thought about it and he really doesn't agree that they should continue to use the word guys.
Come on in, guys.
Jeff seemed very happy about it, and he said, I'm glad that was the last time I'll say it. And now it's just come on in,
Alrighty.
which works too. So then Jeff
Not a
tells
hill you
us-
want to die on.
Yeah. Jeff tells us about the twist, the shot, and the dark die. Each person gets one, and you won't know if somebody used it until Jeff's ready to read the votes.
Mm-hmm. And there's a
So.
1 in 6 chance if they do choose to use it that they can pull a safe.
16.7% according to David.
Yeah.
Okay.
In any case, Yeah, so there's a chance that you could actually be safe. So, like Jeff said, it gives you a Hail Mary chance at surviving if your tribe's completely turned on you and you've got a clear sense of it. Why wouldn't you try that?
And you don't think your vote will make any difference.
Anyway.
Yeah, then why not? But otherwise, you don't want to really give up your... And they get to do it in the privacy of the voting booth.
Awesome first challenge. I really liked all the different elements in this. And, the physicality and, of course, the ending with a puzzle.
Well, the thing that put the fear into me is when he said only one tribe wins, the other two go to tribal.
We were thinking there was a possibility of that, yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah.
I mean, oof.
What a motivator. Yep.
It was, but it certainly would have scared me. Not only that, the two losing tribes not only have to go to tribal council, you have to surrender your flint to Jeff right there at the challenge.
Yeah, that would be rough because the chances in that climate that you've been banking coals, which is a technique you can use to keep some coals kind of smoldering for a long time so that you could easily relight the fires, probably pretty low.
Do that in future.
Yeah.
But for this one, I would say nobody did that.
Yep, seems unlikely. It's a possibility, but unlikely. But who knows? Maybe some people have other skills for lighting fires.
We had thought Luvu was going to dominate the challenges in these big, strong
people. They really
people
struggled.
And it's like, what?
We'd already seen in one of the clips where Naseer just did a face plant coming over the first obstacle, but they just kept struggling.
And I think it was Deshawn that stumbled carrying some of the bags up to the front and puzzle pieces.
He went to clear the last sandbag and place it on the pile, and it actually slipped and fell out. So they got all the way to the end of pushing that sled with the puzzle pieces on it, and Probst is like, you got to go back. You got to take it all the way back, and you got to come back up, send someone back up here to stack this sandbag right, and then you can pull the sled again.
Well, at this point, I had the green tribe losing, and so I was like, no, the green tribe's in the lead, and yellow's second.
Ooh, it was really going. Yeah, and Luvu was struggling. They didn't look like they had a chance in heck at even finishing.
Nope, but then by the time they got to the top where the puzzle was, both blue and the yellow tribe showed up at the same time.
Yeah, so
I was like, oh,
man,
yes.
They just turned on the turbos to get back up there.
They did. So that strength did pay off.
And it was such a struggle for Yase that it took them longer to get up there.
Well, and just as they got up to the very top,
I want to mention something about that too. They were struggling with physicality 100%.
Who?
Yase. I don't know what color that bottom one is.
Yellow.
Okay, the yellow tribe. They were struggling. That's why Luvu, the blue tribe, was able to catch them. And so they've got some issue with physical strength in that tribe.
Yep. Well, that's what I said. I didn't see Eric doing anything really physical. Do you remember him doing?
Sure, yeah, there was a lot of physical aspects to that challenge that he was contributing to.
Xander and David did, but anyway, I don't know. They didn't seem like they had as much strength as some of the others. But anyway, this is when they flashed on and zoomed in on the Rebus puzzle.
Mm-hmm. A game within a game?
Yes.
Did you want to say anything about that? We got it on the screen there.
We have it on the screen, and I think I figured it out.
Mm-hmm. You did.
You were struggling, but I came in to save the day.
We want to make it about a struggle. All right, sure.
No, we sat together, but I kind of figured it out. But anyway, I think we figured it out, but I don't know
we figured out the child's puzzle.
Yeah. Woo! Yeah. Okay, but I didn't know if we wanted to say what we thought, especially right now, in case other people wanted to try to figure it out and send in, so we could mention it maybe in the the not in the recap show, but on the show we do on Saturday. Maybe we could do it
Okay.
then. What do you think?
That's fine. I don't really care. But it was fun to look at it and to play along with the kids at home. So we had a good time too. I think that's the
It was for the
takeaway.
young ones like me, anyway.
So Erika and Deshawn and Shan and Sarah and then Evvie and Liana. And it looked like Evvie and Liana had it dialed in, but then Shan and Sarah had it dialed in. But then turns out there was a piece missing
Lost piece.
that they had left in the bag, and it just really wrecked. They lost their lead, their tremendous lead.
Well, I
And
think-
lo and behold, Luvu, the blue tribe, came barreling back and won, which is what we had predicted, but we just did not see it happening that way.
Well, and doing it that quickly, Deshawn and Erika, man, they went to town on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yay, guys.
And it seemed like she really kind of had it dialed in. So, which that was good to see. I really liked.
Well, of course, she's your USB
That's right.
24.
That's right. Well, yeah, I was
And
waffling.
Deshawn is mine. So
There we go. We were both very happy with the
I'm
performance.
like, yes.
I went back and forth and back and forth. Sarah, Erika, and then I finally landed on Erika. So it was good to see that.
Okay, blue wins. Yellow and green have to surrender their flint to Jeff.
Wah wah.
And we will see you at tribal camps.
Yep.
So back to camp to start the scramble. We go to the yellow tribe first, and the girls want to take Abraham or Eric out.
Mm-hmm.
And he's appealing to David and Xander to keep the strength and get rid of Tiffany.
I'm way on board with that.
But Tiffany is not didn't appear to be the weakest, did she? In the challenge? I'm not sure about that. I guess I'd want to go back and look at that again. Anyway, that's what he wanted.
I had Tiffany going, so for me that seemed like an easy decision, but that's probably my bias.
Well, I thought it was interesting that Evvie was out in the water with the three guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, okay, is she working with the guys? Is she aligned with them? Is she trying to get information for the girls? What is she doing? Is she kind of playing both sides?
Definitely looked like a fourth there. Yep.
Yeah. And so Evvie works on David then. They show us, but he's concerned about how social Tiffany is.
Not that she's necessarily the physical weak link, but that
Nope,
she's a
social
strong
game.
social player,
Yep.
which is another good reason to get rid of her.
But Evvie didn't want to get rid of her.
Nope, she's fighting for Tiffany.
So, and we see.
I think she's trying to use Tiffany as a meat shield.
And
So good on Evvie.
man, they showed Tiffany out looking for the idol. And we knew they showed us, right where it was. She was right in front of it. She almost had her hand on it.
It wasn't a hidden immunity idol, but it was the new advantage. Yeah,
Well, yeah, the advantage.
the Beware
whatever.
advantage.
But I was like, oh, jeez. Well, she would have, if she'd found it, she would have taken the chance since she thought she could be on the block. So, okay.
Okay, cut over to the Ua tribe there on day 3. Some sad music, and sad Sarah is crying,
Yep.
but she vows to fight.
She didn't want to do the puzzle. I don't blame you. A lot of people go home because they didn't perform well. It's an easy vote off. Quite
Actually, it
frankly.
doesn't usually go that way, though.
It does
Usually,
sometimes.
the person that has been willing to stand up and take that risk gets some bit of buffering for that in the first challenge. But
Well, it seemed for a while there that Ricard, Shantel, Sarah, and even Genie were on board to get out JD. So I thought he was going.
boy, Brad walked up and stuck one of those giant feet right in his mouth,
yeah,
didn't he?
he did.
Jeez, why in the world do you tell two people who are standing right there that those
Well,
are
no, it has to be one of you two.
right?
We gotta send one of y'all home.
You two are on the
screwed up
block
the
because you did
challenge.
that on the.
I was like, Brad.
I like that response. Brad's playing a season 1 game in season 41.
Your wife's sitting at home going, shut it. Oh, okay. Well, maybe he's just considering he's going to be honest with everyone, but that's not going to get him very far.
So if you got Shantel as your USB, you're probably pretty happy with how she was managing things.
Yeah, she seemed to be steering.
She said that she was in lots of discussions, and pretty much she had some good, solid middle ground there to help protect herself.
She does seem to have a pretty good social game going.
On to tribal council.
First up, Yase. I liked what Jeff said when Eric talked, whatever he said. And Jeff said, Eric said many words, but he said nothing.
He was really inviting Tiffany to go at Abraham by saying that, because he saw her reaction because Probst started by talking to Tiffany, and she was doing her harmony and it's from the heart, and much like everyone rebounding from the pandemic, and Abraham was more to the point. Look, we got to stay strong. It's just business, and I think that's you, Tiffany, although he didn't say it explicitly. But Tiffany took that offer, that soft pitch from Probst, and she dug right in. Yeah, he said nothing. He's talking in circles.
Well,
And his retort was good, too, because he didn't try to engage her with what she had said. He just said, I got strength I can bring.
But he didn't see anything coming. And I think she must have known, because she didn't try to play anything. She seemed very relaxed. She didn't seem nervous to me. And I think she felt pretty confident that she had numbers on her side. Even though, when they started talking, it make you a little nervous. But then we see when they go up to vote, Xander got the extra vote.
Which is what we had expected.
Yeah.
That wasn't really a surprise. Although I hadn't been thinking about it when it popped up there.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. It was like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, that's right. He got one. But I thought he was going to be the only one. But surprise to me. Okay, so the vote happens, and Tiffany gets the first vote, and then bye-bye, Abraham.
Mm-hmm.
Good, because I didn't want to have to deal with Abraham Eric. So,
You're just
because of
happy.
that, David needs to go next, too.
Oh, that's funny. Well, that may be the case.
And he admitted, not everybody admits it, but he was right up by.
He was right there with it.
Not see that coming.
Yep, called it out.
I'm sure he thought he wasn't in any jeopardy because he's a big, strong guy, right?
Well, and they need the strength.
They
And
need me.
And wow, that tribe, I think they made a critical error. I think we're going to get to see them at tribal council because they want to make this so brutal. There's going to be a crushing physical element in the challenges that they're about to face, and they're going to wish they had him back. And Tiffany's not going to offer anything to balance out the fact that Abraham's not there. That's my prediction.
Maybe, maybe not, but I do think she's got game.
Absolutely. Just like, some of them had pointed out, she's
Like
very
you
social.
Go, girl.
Yeah. Yep, but it's going to hurt them. I think they made...
Yeah, maybe, maybe not. It depends on if they stay in small groups for a longer period of time, which he kind of hinted at, Probst did, but that doesn't mean it will.
Okay, next up, it's time for UA to get their fire, because fire
Alright,
represents
tribal
life.
council.
And Sean says, yes, there's a camaraderie, and it was a great start.
And there's no fighting, no anger. We're a very chill tribe.
Brad is so into this tribe that he's willing to trade their pot and their machete so that they can
keep the tribe
stay
together.
together, he tells them, yeah.
Well, that was kind of dumb because you knew that wasn't happening, so that wasn't a real
He
bargain.
tried.
Nah, not really. Okay. JD talks about, I told him the truth when I got back.
Sarah said that, well, everyone's naturally going to be skeptical.
Yep. When he comes back with nothing in his hands, no rice, no nothing, I thought, yeah, she's trying to put the highlight on him. And she and Shantel both said, wow, they're really scared. So do you think Shantel was really that scared?
Yeah, that looked genuine to me.
It did, but
She looked
then,
rattled when the tribal went live, when Jeff asked JD a question, and then all of a sudden Sarah and Shantel and Ricard were talking
Start
about whispering amongst
yeah,
themselves
yeah.
over there.
And then Ricard gets up, walks over, tells JD to vote Brad. And he said okay. But then you see him go back and he's talking with Shantel again. And he's telling Shantel, I'll do whatever you say, whatever you want. Just tell me. And I thought,
Well, he was pointing
it's
out
gonna
that
be Brad.
they went a different way. He was just he's a little concerned about the flip flop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're thinking, I'm thinking, okay, she's gonna tell him Brad, it's Brad, and then Brad says to
Brad
JD, this is what convinced me, because Brad said, I don't understand your paranoia, JD. And I thought, oh, it's him.
He ends up getting rattled though.
him.
Yeah. So he's like, hey, can we get these die out? And Shan already had hers in her pocket.
Then they go up to vote, and dagnabbit, JD did lie. He won an extra vote.
And now he's the only one who knows it. Unlike Xander doing it for the tribe and telling them about it, JD spun his lie out, which was probably the uneasiness that was caused some people like Ricard not to
think
trust
he was
him.
lying.
Yeah, so he was lying.
And he's not
So,
out of the woods yet.
They're right, but now he's got an extra vote advantage that nobody knows about.
If I were him, I would be hoping for a swap soon. Okay, so there was one vote for Ricard, which Genie gave. Then Brad voted for Sarah, and then Ricard, Shantel, JD, and Brad voted Sarah.
Sarah's out.
Is it my
I
final
was
four?
this close to having her as my
As
US.
your USB.
Yes, and then she ends up out of all that. That went really sideways.
Yes, it did. I did not see that coming. I just really didn't think they were going to do it. And I'm sure a lot of other people, because there were a few people that had her as their USB, and that won't be happy about that.
Yeah, well, and a lot of people thought Genie was going to be the one to go, and she was never at risk in that
Nope.
tribe.
Me included. I chose Genie to go, I think. And so,
All right, what a good first episode. Interesting
thought
to see.
so.
It's
Loved it.
jam-packed, and of course we wish every week could be 2 hours.
absolutely.
Yeah,
It went by
but
quickly, though, didn't it?
We're sure, I guess, yeah. We're always thankful when we get the first episode that's that long, that's got that much content, so we get to see more of them and how they're interacting with each other. And
I think that helps you get to know the people a little better, too. I mean, yeah, we do the Javik show beforehand, and that helps us.
It all
but
contributes,
still,
yeah.
a lot of people don't, and that does help
Mm-hmm.
getting a little more background information.
get more background and then just get that longer exposure to them.
All right, next on, Brad.
Scrambling. He is hunting for a hidden immunity idol.
Well, that's what you think. And they didn't say that, but that's what we assume. And yet, he's like, here they come, and they're showing a picture of JD and Ricard
Walking down a trail.
the
We don't know
trail.
if that has anything to do with
Yeah, we don't.
him
So-
in that moment.
But that's what they want us to think. So Sydney is saying, well, we want to learn all we can so we can get rid of him. And we're
Cut to
assuming...
Naseer.
Naseer, yes. And it looks like he's doing something, found something, or...
They show him doing something at camp, and then he's got a handful of leaves or something, like maybe he's found something they can eat. I don't know.
And I think it was Xander or David, but said...
It was Xander.
Xander said they got to throw whatever you know about Survivor out the window. This is a new game.
Sure, that thrilled Probst.
Yeah.
And you get to see Liana, Evvie, and Tiffany scheming, and Liana's cussing.
Yes, in front of the pastor.
No, baby, they're on different teams.
Oh,
It was Liana, Evvie, and Tiffany that were talking to each other.
oh, yeah. Okay.
Different
You're
tribe.
right. You're right.
Yep, that's okay.
I got confused for a minute.
Yeah. Well, we certainly enjoyed it, and we're looking forward to hearing what you thought about our first episode here in season 41. What do you think about all these changes? And then who are your favorites? How did that change after you saw this episode? The voicemail number is 206-350-1547 or toll free 844-643-8737. The email is joanneandstacyshow@gmail.com. And whether you're writing in or recording your own or calling it in, just keep it in that 3-minute range. We're looking forward to hearing from you there. Did you have
I do.
JSFL update? We don't have the final.
We don't have the final update because
these are more complicated to score.
they threw
with
us a curveball, so we won't have that until Saturday.
Yeah.
But I did look up that there were 16 people. They got the 2-point first off for Eric or Abraham.
Mm-hmm.
And 6 people got the vote off for Sarah.
Nice. Okay. Good job,
Now,
guys.
I also was able to go in and pull out how many players chose each cast member.
Oh, for their USB.
USB 24.
Yeah. Okay. So this is how people are thinking who the winners are
So
going to be.
in number 1,
Mm-hmm.
Deshawn with 40.
Okay.
We have Sarah with 35.
Ouch.
Yep. Erika has 32. JD with 30. Ricard with 25. Danny with 19. Shantel with 17. Sydney with 13. Naseer 13. Xander has 12. Evvie has 11. And Heather has 11. No, wait. Brad has 11, and Heather has 9. Liana has 7, and Tiffany, Genie, and Eric had 6, and David with 4. Oh, he wouldn't like that he got the least amount.
No.
He would not like that.
Nope.
But that's how it sits.
Okay. Great. Well, we're looking forward to hearing what you guys thought about this episode. Anything else you want to add?
I don't think so. I just looking forward to hearing what everybody else thought about the episode, if they liked it as much as we did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good stuff. All right, have a good one.